What's up, B2? Capital G here. Got some super quantum duels for you guys to check out, plus a nice little bonus duel. If you have not been living under a rock, then you already know that this archetype is getting more support in Dark Neostorm. They're getting the super quantum white layer. They're also getting a new Exceed that has a built-in effect failure slash impermanence. They're getting, I believe, a couple more cards in addition to this, as well as a link monster, which is kind of nice. But I haven't really covered super quantums that much because I've never considered myself an expert. Never really found the deck all that interesting, but it is a deck that is going to be getting a little more consistent. I actually feel like Great Magnus is not really it's not really the point of the deck anymore. A lot of times I see people just kind of sit on the smaller Exceed monsters instead of going into this guy, which this guy used to pretty much be the entire deck. And a lot of people said, you know, post Master Rule 4 not going to be playable again, but now that they have a link, now they got more plays. We'll see what happens. So first duel is actually it's a 2 out of 3 duel. Gonna be against Pendulums, and even though the Pendulum player did not get Electromite pre-Pendulum Summon, I would personally have to be pretty good about, like, I would feel pretty confident about this Pendulum Summon of essentially 4 monsters, because you know Toon Magician gives you another monster for free, goes into Apprentice Witchling, I guess potentially to get the Deshudo back, then goes into your Naruto Shippuden, Naruto. Unfortunately, he's gonna reborn the Deshudo. That's some cheese right there. Then he activates the copy of Instant Fusion for Invoke Raijin. Now, I don't know why he didn't use the negate on either one of those, Monster Reborn or Instant Fusion, but whatever, I digress. He is going to pretty much get wrecked here a little bit. I think he's going to go battle phase. He's going to kill both monsters, and then he should be able to, in main phase 2, probably go for another link summon and, you know, recover some of his cards. The white layer has Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave, not that, like, it's good against Pendulums because it stops Darkworm, but if they don't have Darkworm, which usually they want to get into the graveyard like turn 1 ASAP, it just isn't really all that impactful. It does stop the Oath Dragon here, at least the Pendulum effect. That's okay. Now, on turn 2, Pendulum player once again gets a very strong Pendulum summon, essentially a 3. This time he has Electromite though. And he's going to be able to basically get everything that he wanted in his first turn, pretty much, and more. Deshudo comes back from the graveyard. He's going for Ignister. Ignister gets to spin back from the deck. And then he has 2 level 6s on field. Now, if he still had another copy of Naruto, or if he had the first one, then he would be able to summon it here. Instead, he goes for this really odd Beatrice play, which I thought maybe was going to send Darkworm to the graveyard. I'm like, what is there to actually send at this point? You know, like, you have monsters on the field. Like, is it Fairy Tail Snow Pendulum? Or, you know, Burning Abyss Pendulums with Farfa or something. Anyways, he's gonna activate this card called Feast of the Wild level 5. This is such a troll card, but it actually does work in this archetype. So what it does is it targets 2 warrior level 5 monsters either in your graveyard, or I guess they can't target because it can summon them from the hand as well, and basically it gives you 2 level 5 monsters on field. They do have to be warriors, but obviously in this deck not only can you use those as, you know, the fodder for an Exceed summon, but you can use those for link summoning as well, as now the archetype has a link. He's probably gonna go, yeah, he goes for Boros Sword Dragon, obviously looking to end the duel. Your Beatrice does happen to drop a copy of Destrudo in the graveyard. That's pretty that's a Kappa play, I'm going to say. He's going to go for some attacks here. Red layer is going to probably, red layer is going to pop Beatrice, and he's able to simply attack for game. So Pendulums, I would personally say, squandered a golden opportunity. 2 Pendulum summons, 2 Destrudos, gets Ignister, gets Electromite, everything you want basically in a Pendulum duel, and just cannot find a way to win the duel. This duel, he's going first once again, and this time he will be able to drop Electromite before the Pendulum summon. This is how you want to play Pendulums. Don't ask me about Duel. I have no idea why it's even in there. He decides to just blow it up for some reason. I don't know why. I would have probably kept it on field, maybe for, you know, some fodder for a link summon, but I guess he's like, he needed room. Why not just leave it in your hand then? If room was really that big of a deal, just leave it in your hand. He does have Naruto, plus he has Vortex Dragon on his turn 1 board. So once again, you can't really feel bad for this Pendulum player because he's getting negations turn 1. I mean, this is a pretty legitimate board. You still have your Pendulum summon. What more do you want? So let's see what's going to happen here. Red layer and green layer are both going to hit the field. Then Alphan's going to trigger it's going to bait out the Vortex Dragon. At this point, maybe you could argue that he would have stopped, or he could have stopped Pendulum or the Foolish Burial, and he is this time going to learn from his mistakes. He said, Cap G, I got wrecked by that random Feast of the Wild level 5. I'm not going to let this guy get 2 level 5s from his graveyard to extend his combos. I'm just going to negate that, and he does negate it, and that's smart. At this point, his opponent doesn't have his 2 level 5s that he needs. Or does he? He activates Pot of Desires and gets exactly what he needs. This is 2 level 5 extenders. Like, I feel like that's just too good. I mean, you negate a card that gives your opponent 2 level 5 extenders, and wouldn't you know that he draws 2 level 5 extenders or cards that can put those on field? Once that happened, I was just like, well, you're going to probably lose. He's going to put the Naruto face down, and he has Evenly Matched, which obviously looks kind of dead in his situation. Pendulums are pretty resilient, so he's not able to go for games. So again, pendulums are still in this duel. Gets the perfect top deck in Toon Magician, which you know is going to get you another monster for free, and it still looks like this is a duel that is salvageable, especially with Destrudo. Maybe that was a little bit of, it's a lot of life points invested, but he has the Ignister once again, and it's looking actually kind of good. He's clearing the Super Quantum board, and he's probably going to have to use his battle phase here to completely do it. Unfortunately, Evenly Matched becomes live right there when he kills his last monster, and he sees the Alpha normal summon, and he just decides, I'm out of here. I'm gonna rage quit Cap G. I got Evenly Matched, and I got hit with everything. I stopped this guy's Feast of the Wild level 5, and then he drops 2 more level 5s on me. I wonder though, I do wonder about the Mobilize Engage. He probably just banished. If I was to go through and look through the banished cards, he probably like runs an Afterburner or maybe a copy of Hornet Drones. I'm pretty sure that it got banished. Otherwise, why not run it? Now, speaking of Sky Strikers, we got our last little random duel, and this is actually a anti-meta Cactus Fighter deck, and it's gonna be going up against the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh for the TCG right now. That, of course, is Sky Striker. Sky Striker opened up really strong. I don't think I like Pot of Desires and Sky Strikers. It seems like you have way too many cards that can be banished. Unfortunately, in this duel, or no, I should say luckily, it doesn't really matter. He had the Ash for Lone Fire. He has the Twin Twister for the 2 back row. He has Hayate. Looks like everything should be smooth sailing. I mean, he's going to get Widow Anchor from Kagari. He's probably going to set it on the field. He has his Hornet Drones. I was like, this duel is freaking free. I mean, seriously, like, look at all the advantage that this guy has. He's got an Impermanent set, Widow Anchor, Afterburner in hand, a Ghost Spell in case your opponent tries to hit the graveyard. Like, this duel is absolutely free, or is it free? Pot of Indulgence is going to be activated. The thing about this guy's deck is it's not so much good as it is just annoying, and I think the point of the duel, the deck, is just to frustrate your opponent. Widow Anchor is going to be used there on the Cactus, and the Cactus Fighter, all it does is just give your opponent a token. So I'm not really sure. Maybe he's thinking, if I get that token, then I can't go for my link plays. Now here's really an interesting tech, right? It's called Extra Net, and what it does is the opponent of the person who goes into their extra deck and summons, that person gets to draw a card. So if your opponent is constantly summoning from their extra deck, as decks like Sky Striker and Salamangreats will do, you get to just continually draw cards with this, and it's actually pretty damn nice. It's not a hard once per turn either. So if your opponent takes one Sky Striker, turns it into another one, you get to draw like 2 cards. Now, obviously, you can't really go into your extra deck that much, but if your opponent is constantly going into theirs, it can be a nice way to draw. He is going to go for the Ojama Trio, trying to lock his opponent out of those Sky Striker spells, but he does have Nightmare Phoenix, and honestly, that's just going to be a super easy out. Goes for the Nightmare Unicorn. I think there might be a Mirror Force down here. Nope, there's not a Mirror Force. Wall of Disruption. This is a card that is going to be a little troll. He's going to use it in conjunction with All Out Attacks. Oh goodness, he plays another extra net, and then I think it's about time to force some more tokens on his opponent's side of the field, just to make sure. He says, Cap, I'm getting rid of this token, which actually you're not, because you missed on area 0, and then he's gonna go hit force more tokens. Because of all out attacks, they must go into attack mode, and then when he goes into the battle phase with his Nightmare Unicorn, he's like, all right, I'll run this stupid Cactus over and win the duel. He goes for Wall Disruption. When an opponent's monster declares attack, all attack position monsters your opponent controls lose 800 attack. So now the tokens all have, well, they're already 0, but now his monster is going to be lower. He's going to activate half counter for no reason, because it was in the same column as the Impermanent, so it just gets negated. But I think he just frustrated his opponent so much that his opponent just rage quit. Sometimes that just happens, like if you're playing against decks like Necroval or Gravekeepers or Banished decks. It's not so much that you think their deck is even remotely as good as yours, but it's just so annoying. You're like, man, this is not even worth the headache and the trouble. And I'm not sure, maybe he could have probably gotten the Topologic Bomber Dragon, and that would have been enough to win this duel, but I just think that he got frustrated frustrated and decided that he wanted out of that duel. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed those short little duels. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos. All right, and let me just actually go ahead and show you guys the Super Quantum deck list because, hey, let's hit that 10-minute ad revenue. This deck has way more spells than I would have ever imagined. A whole lot of 2-ups in here, including Feast of the Wild level 5, which you guys saw. Instant Fusion to get your Invoked Raijin, which is going to put a monster face down, ideally, plus be used as Synchro and Link fodder. You got World Legacy Succession. I think that probably in that duel, like 99% certain that the Hornet Jones did get banished. That's why the Mobilize Engage was dead. And I kind of feel like if you're just going to run a few traps in Yu-Gi-Oh right now, I kind of feel like you either need to be running Impermanences, or why not just go with Evenly Match? I mean, Burning Abyss is a deck that's successful and it doesn't run hand traps at all, so I don't know why, you know, it's any different here. Your opponent makes a big board, maybe they don't have, you know, a negation, or you can bait them with like a Pot of Desires and then use Evenly Match and then just blow them out, and then you can just kind of play a slow grind game and your opponent will have next to no resources. I mean, we did see Evenly Match work in the second turn of that Pendulum duel, so it doesn't have to be a first turn or bust thing always.